when you look at Matt Ryan being fired, Matt Ryan, them saying, look, your contract is going to be too much. We can't have you out here get injured, and then we'll owe you millions of dollars this year and millions of dollars next year. It's still somehow shocking when a quarterback in that sport with a name gets the finality of what yesterday felt like, especially when they're 3-3-1.
I know.
When everyone in the league feels like they're 3-3-1, except for a couple of terrible teams and a couple of good teams.
I think Matt Ryan will have a day again. I do. Like, everyone's saying his career is over. He's playing okay this year. I'm not saying he's playing great.
He had a day 2 weeks ago, to your point.
But the trade deadline is coming up, and they benched him at the exact right time. Keep him healthy, try to trade him, give him a chance to go win a title.
Dude, his passes, though,
I know.
those things.
There's no arm strength.
Oh, my God.
No. Albert Breer reported that that's basically the reason why he got benched. That there are coaches around the league that's basically saying his arm is dead.
Yeah.
It's got nothing left.
On 3rd and long, he is throwing it behind the line of scrimmage.
If I can see that, every coach in the league can see it.
But this, too, though, as Stugotz says, he's playing okay. 9 interceptions, most in NFL. 24 sacks, most in NFL. 11 fumbles, most in NFL.
Right. Have you seen my quarterback, though? I mean...
But all of those are, at least your quarterback's not doing that.
He's the reason they're losing games. What he did on Sunday was inexcusable. I'm surprised because he has so much cachet, but new team, you didn't build your reputation for the Indianapolis Colts. It's a right move.
But 7 days before that, he threw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. And he won their team a game.
Not as good as I once was, but every now and then I can be as good as I ever was.
3 touchdowns, no interceptions.
He had a tremendous game. But it's at this age, it's what you consistently do, and he is consistently inconsistent.
I thought Mike Ryan had the right point yesterday when he reminded us their quarterback away. That team could have been the Bengals last year.
Yes.
Without Burrow, they could have been the Bengals. Like on the last, if that team would have won the Super Bowl last year if they had Andrew Luck. That's where that team was.
The team had Carson Wentz and was being picked as a Super Bowl darling last year because of their style of play. Now, Whitty and I were talking over here. Their offensive line has taken a dip. I know they've had a lot of injuries, especially to Jonathan Taylor, but they were actually playing their best football 2 weeks ago without Jonathan Taylor down to their third-string running back. It's not a bad spot, and it's a ballsy decision to go with a young kid at quarterback here. Find out what you have. That seems like we're in valuation mode, but their roster and their division would say go for it. And considering how they really threw all their confidence back in there, the pushback might be from Frank Reich and company. Oh, we are. This is the better option for us.
This is us going for it.
It does make you wonder, though, why they signed Matt Ryan. I mean, he didn't lose his arm strength during the
season.
Greg,
it's not just why are you signing Matt Ryan? Like, their strategy has been, let's see if you have one more year for us.
Right.
That's been the strategy with Carson Wentz.
It didn't work with Phillip Rivers?
It's been the strategy with Phillip Rivers. At what point, I keep hearing all this praise for their general manager over there, who's always considered and regarded as one of the best, wins awards because he wins the offseason by getting the old quarterback that ends up getting replaced the following season. What is the plan here exactly?
If I may, though, just as you see, again, a bunch of quarterbacks getting hurt, and John Elway, at one time, he's been stripped of this power because he's not any good at it. John Elway has been trying to get a quarterback for a long time. Andrew Luck is entitled to go have a peaceful life, building a family and living away from the huddle of football. But he crushed them. You spent that pick on that quarterback.
Oh, spare me. They went from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. Get out of here. Oh, you left him in a bind?
Mike,
and they actually have to go through a quarterback search?
It's hard to get quarterbacks.
They had it good for so long.
Mike is right. 1 year, they got Andrew Luck, and they were set again. This is karma.
You are arguing, though, that I am saying they haven't had a blessed experience at quarterback. Maybe only the Packers have been better. But when you spend that draft pick on that guy, what you're not accounting for is he might retire. You're building everything around him. I'd love to hear Andrew Luck interviewed. He disappeared.
I'm here.
Quietly.
It appears that I screwed the pooch a little bit. But I'm loving retirement. Me and Jack Doyle catching up on the weekends. It's just a beautiful existence.
Going fishing and whatnot.
My head is fine. I'm seeing clearly. Memory's still sharp like a whip.
You have seen that Carolina and Denver have had some trouble fixing the position, and they didn't have happen to them what happened to the Colts. And so they've just been putting bandages there, and I don't think any of us thought any of those were bad moves. Would any of us have said?
They've been celebrated. And when I was a Browns fan last year, I was saying, hey, Matt Ryan still got good football in him. He was actually pretty good with a team that was very clearly tanking. You never really know. There weren't really the signs. Yes, he was slowing down. Wasn't fleet of foot, but his numbers were good. This was a precipitous drop-off. I don't know what they're seeing in training camp and their evaluation process that didn't give them immediate buyer's remorse. And the only reason why I'm hopping on Indianapolis, when I was also in this school of thought that was looking at the analytics that thought Matt Ryan still had good football, is how many times are you going to get burned by the same strategy? At what point are we going to try to, maybe go a little bit younger? Let's stop shopping in the discount aisle. The Carolina Panthers have tried the exact same thing. And they've actually tried it with younger players.
They tried it with number 1 overall picks.
Yeah, Darnold, Baker, I kind of get that, but it's just very clearly not working. The only time it's working is with Geno Smith.
Nothing about Matt Ryan's season should be a surprise, though. He's been slow and sedentary in the pocket his whole career. He's led the NFL in fumbles since he entered the league. This is who he is.
They were supposed to have a good line, though, and I think a lot of the sacks are on him. If you watch football, he just brings the ball down and he's already leaning into a sack. You can't in spots you cannot take a sack in. He's lost it. And it again, he would have to be awesome for 8 more years to be at the level that Tom Brady is at right now. We got too spoiled by Tom Brady to assume that players aren't going to fall off. Look at Aaron Rodgers this weekend. Aaron Rodgers, I believe, is a double-digit underdog for the first time in his career.
Biggest dog
on Sunday.
Career. Right.
Tom Brady we all thought because he did it, and he doesn't have this spectacular physique, and early in his career, largely unremarkable. And later on, he started putting in these big numbers. But we just thought, modern science has changed. Look at Drew Brees at 40. It's not 45, fell off. The fact that he's out there at 45, it's beyond any logic.
People are tired of hearing the Tom Brady stuff, but what is happening to Aaron Rodgers, Stugotz, and we will point to Devontae Adams and Valdez Scantling, but Scantling. We will point
just
to
go
their,
MVS. It's so much easier.
To their deep threats. We will point to those things. Do it. But the drop isn't supposed to go quite as fast, even though it's supposed to be precipitous, as MVP, 7 games finished. It happens at the age of Aaron Rodgers, but not like that, because he should have a few of the Matt Ryan good games in him. I don't believe that that's done, but that's where it happens, Stugotz. It's why Tom Brady is such an aberration, because at 37, 38 years old, it's Roethlisberger can't throw down the field anymore. There goes the arm strength. You can physically see it on Matt Ryan. The outs are harder than they used to be. He's got to muster something in order just to get the ball to the sideline.
But historically, this is when all-time greats drop off around this age. Dan Marino retired at age 38. John Elway retired at the height of the sport. Not who he was in the 80s, but he's cited as the example. He was 38. And he looked old. Peyton Manning won a Super Bowl, was arguably the worst at the position when he won the Super Bowl. He retired at age 39. This is normal. And I think Tom Brady's kind of changed the prism in which we evaluate these quarterbacks to where Matt Ryan's had a very good career. Matt Ryan is a Hall of Famer. He should be celebrated, and we should just all acknowledge that this is the life cycle at the position. But no, because of social media, and I'm piling on too, this is more of a laughing stock play. We're enjoying the diminishment of his career. What do you expect when you have history as your guide? We have just one crazy active outlier that has gone so far beyond the threshold and is still excellent that it's warped everything.
He has changed everything in that regard, where Aaron Rodgers at 37, I'm saying to myself, wow, he still has 8 years to go. Like, that's what I'm thinking.
Right.
Now, maybe he doesn't, maybe he does.
Standard.
We'll find out.
Stugotz, it's an impossible standard.
You're right, because only
out.
one guy's ever done it. But I don't think Aaron Rodgers is done yet by any stretch.
Can we examine? These are the worst 7 games of his career.
By any stretch. I just told you he's a double-digit dog for the first time in his life.
I understand that. But Aaron Rodgers, there's no way the fall happened that quickly. Like, he became this bad that quickly. There's no way. I mean,
it can be system. It can be losing players. The thing that I wanted to ask you is, what is it about sports, do we do it anywhere else, that there is something about the customer's relationship with the greatness in the product, that there is some zeal in celebrating being the first to arrive at, you're washed. You're washed. You're done. You are no good at that anymore. What's happening there?
Social media, I would say, like that is a thing that first happens on social media. That the second an old player does something that makes it seem like he has fallen off even in the slightest, immediately it's a flurry of wash. It's also a means of sports fans arguing against other sports fans. Matt Ryan in particular has had a career where after he lost that Super Bowl 28-3 from a 28-3 lead, people are prepared to laugh at Matt Ryan. And he never really recovered from it. He never recovered from losing that Super Bowl in terms of actually competing at a high level.
But it's rare to see a quarterback of Matt Ryan's stature be benched in the middle of a season when his team is in the playoff chase.
right.
You just don't see that. Normally a change like that with a player of that stature is between seasons.
I mean, didn't
right?
you live through it, though, down here with Marino? I mean, you were infamously trading Marino for Scott Mitchell, but we saw it again with Damon Heward, and those were decent teams with playoff chances, and people were making actual arguments.
Damon Heward.
Get Damon Heward in there instead of Dan Marino.
Dan Marino was never benched during a season for the reason that Matt Ryan was benched. Like Dan Marino couldn't even walk toward the end of his career.
I mean, he didn't get benched, but you did see visible decline.
Yes,
right.
But and Matt Ryan's not Dan Marino. He don't get me wrong, but
Just passed him on the all-time passing list.
You're damn well right he is, and he's
Yeah, but
better according to these
I mean,
inflated numbers.
but nobody
Greg is
on
saying
earth thinks he's better.
They're 3-3-1. Usually you bench a Matt Ryan when your team's out of it.
Yes,
But
right.
they're still in it.
Right.
I mean, they're right there. And because I don't
But
want to
dude,
say because
I
of
noticed
him,
those
but
passes. If I'm on my couch being
He
like,
doesn't
holy
have arm
shit, he has
strength.
no arm strength.
Every pass looks deflected.
Yeah.
But can you go back a second? I mean, okay, we blame a lot on social media. Just travel with me for a second. Do we do that elsewhere? Do we feel the need to point out that someone's career of greatness is done, is spent?
It's
We did
sports.
it to Russell
Yes.
Westbrook.
Sports
before.
radio.
Yeah, I was going to say we were talking about Russell
I'm saying
Westbrook.
outside of sports. I'm not just saying
Oh,
football.
Well, no
I
one
wasn't just
says
saying.
like
I mean,
the pilot of my plane on Delta is washed,
I
you know,
mean,
because no one cares.
Right, no one cares.
I mean, the mental faculties of the current sitting president are constantly called into question on social media. We do that. We do that everywhere, and I don't.
Broadcasting?
Yeah, we
Yep.
do it. We do it in all facets of life.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because I think people chase gold standards. You have the benchmarks of I want to go out like David Ortiz. I want to go out like John Elway. I want to go out like Tom Brady if he ever decides to go out. And it's just I guess a allure of I did it on my terms. I did it. Everyone tried to write me off, and I never wrote back. People want that for them.
like, I know my accountant has lost some speed on his fastball, but who cares if I tell you he's not as good as he used to be? No one cares.
Right.
Well, you would.
You should
He's
probably
costing you.
Yeah, I should.
money.
I got a new one, to be honest.
It's only in
Ellinger.
sports. It's only in sports that we do that, right? I
We
mean,
just named a couple other examples.
I know, but-
Musicians also, you could say this person doesn't sound like they used to.
See,
They
but
don't put on a good show anymore.
But Mick
Elton John
Jagger
shows are not the same. They're
and,
all
Mick
set.
Jagger is still on stage,
You're right.
and nobody's saying he. Clint Eastwood can still act in a role at age 75.
He's in his 90s now, and he can't, and he needs to stop.
Okay, but he did.
Jeez.
But he.
Harsh.
What was that movie? I don't know movies. But,
I don't need love scenes
Yeah,
from
no,
him
he's
because he
right.
still wants to be the director in a love scene.
Yeah, he can be the gruff old man though.
This speaks to the dangers of reaching your full potential, Yeah. Like, had they never...
Don't do it. Yeah, it's
exactly.
overrated.
Had they never done it, then there would be no expectations and people wouldn't be talking bad about them. Mm-hmm. Just blend in. Be average. You know what I mean?
If people always think that you're not that good, then they're not going to complain that much.
There you go. No one's complaining about Chad Henne.
Good backup.
If anything, praised. for just being an average Joe who never sees the field.
Think about all the praise Geno Smith's getting now, just for kind of
Exactly.
being
Right, set the
that's
bar
for
so
10
low.
years.
Yeah.
Exactly right. You
MVP.
said before no quarterback situation was better than Green Bay or the Colts. We'd argue right now, Seattle.
Put it on the poll,
Great
please,
points.
Guillermo. Is excellence overrated?
Maximizing your potential. But that too.
Is maximizing your potential overrated? It's funny coming from you two.
It's a dangerous game. I mean,
Always leave some gas in the reserve
Yeah.
tank. You know what I mean?
Leave him one more.
never show them your best.
That's right.
That's it, Dan.
How I live.
Motto I've lived by. Yeah.